So, yeah, news came out. Anthony has deleted his YouTube channel. He previously deleted his Instagram, and since it has been updated with less posts, certain posts are deleted. The Los Angeles is not going to happen. The mansion is not going to happen. The $25,000 a month furnishings is not going to happen. And essentially, TPG as a brand, I believe, is dead. There is very little that can revive it. It has been interesting covering them, but I assume this will be my last day I ever talk about them, unless there is something else happens and they revive themselves. But as of now, things are very dire. Things are incredibly bad. I'm just going to read you some information I have. YouTube channel has been deleted, Instagram deleted, back on, so on. So the drug patch that he was showing off, he actually failed. And there was a case. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. So he was supposed to get his ankle bracelet removed on the 12th of April. On the 7th of April, around 1:59, the parole board or someone doing the drug test called him. It went through voice message. The box was full. So he sent a text message to Anthony. And at 2:05, Anthony returned and learned the bad news. This was April 7th. So he's expecting to get his ankle removed, maybe have a great celebration. And it was a long journey, I think 5 or 6 years on parole. A big accomplishment, definitely. And then he learns on the 7th that the patch that he was wearing came back positive for cocaine. Now, is it a false positive? It could be. We don't know. I pray that it is a false positive. How is this going to affect his life? Well, I assume that it is a violation of his parole, and therefore it could extend his parole for a certain amount of time. The circumstances are always very unique in these cases, right? Parole cases. They go person by person, case by case. But in the worst case example, he might even have to go back to jail for some time. I think that's not going to happen. But it is on the table when you violate your parole that there is some discussion of that. And it depends, right? It depends on what you say. It depends on if they catch you lying. If they catch you lying, then yes, the possibility of going back to jail will increase drastically, as opposed to being honest with them, which is what I would advise. Always, honesty is always the best policy, because it's not easy to lie. These are professionals who get lied to every day. If anyone were to be able to catch a liar, it would be these parole people. Channel deleted. I don't think we'll ever see the return of TimePiece Gentlemen. I think as a brand, it is dead. Los Angeles is gone. Darby is probably out of a job. Liz, hopefully they did not sign the lease, but it seemed from the last video they actually had signed a lease, and it was a long-term lease. I hope they're not individually on the hook. I hope that it was a company lease or something like that. I don't know. But that would suck if you sign a long-term lease and then Anthony's not even in Los Angeles, because he's, one thing that could happen with the parole is they could tell him not to leave Texas. How are you going to run your empire in Los Angeles when you can't leave Texas? I believe the mega rental is done. The whole house of cards has just collapsed. A lot of people will say, oh, it was Watts Nicholas. I think the house of cards collapsed on the 7th when he received that text message, and then he's been on a down. Obviously, he's not been sleeping well. Obviously, he's been very stressed. And so the Watch Nicholas video was not great. The apology video was not great. I think they were made in a desperation effort to kind of save face. And when this news broke, the channel had to be deleted. There is nothing left. And it's sad to see that. I truly believe that they could rival TimePiece Trading. I think TimePiece Trading just saw their new episode where Steve will do it. They are now at 270,000, 260,000 subscribers. At the time when Anthony met them about his Blue Richer Mill, if you remember that old episode, I believe TimePiece Trading didn't even have a YouTube channel. No one knew who they were, at least on YouTube. And now look at them. Same with Roman. No one really, Roman had watches and whiskey, and the way that he was doing it was he had actual sets. He had invested all this money into settings, right? And so that wasn't going to work. I think he was trying to do some type of podcast scenario. Now they do exactly what Anthony did. Wolves of Wall Street, they announced themselves as a company in Anthony's video before starting their YouTube channel. So they would not have existed without TimePiece Gentlemen, and obviously we can talk about Grand Caliber. Watch Eric was not vlogging. Nico was not going to be a watch dealer, and Paul is very, very close. I believe very close. It is crazy to me that a company with so much potential, with so many good people, and yes, I believe those are good people, okay? And just a really crazy idea that worked. And I look back on it and I say, all they had to do was, instead of go from 1 video a week, to go to 2. That's it. No blackout, no charity, none of this. Like, the formula was so obvious to us now. And it's just crazy what happened, just all the mistakes that were made sequentially. Now I understand why they were made, because he got such bad news that at this point, why not just blow everything up? The apology video was not really an apology. I think most people found the apology video to be very lacking, because it did not actually he did not actually say what he was apologizing to Watch Nicholas for doing, which would be doxing his family, which was never mentioned. Watch Nicholas's family was mentioned at the end of the video, but it wasn't mentioned in the way that it would be associated with her apology. And then, what the correction would be is, I made a mistake, I'm not going to do it again, and no one should be doxing so-and-so's family. That would be an apology, right, in my opinion. But instead we got, kind of this blame shifting on Watch Nicholas, where everything is his fault, and these people are losing their jobs because of Watch Nicholas, when in fact it later turned out on the 7th, those people didn't have jobs on that day. Now I don't know if he told them that, but at that day, Anthony knew something was wrong. Terribly wrong. And no investor would ever put money in this. Because if they're investing in Anthony and his vision, well, the vision is in jeopardy because you're not there. What if your parole officer says you can't leave Texas? Well, who's going to run the Los Angeles? Darby? Liz? Brian? Who was just hired? And even if the parole officer said, hey, well, you can go to Los Angeles and do... It's not a good look. I don't know if an investor would put money into someone who at any given time has proven that they're not responsible enough. It's just so much liability that wouldn't exist in a typical investment. So when an investor invests in someone, they would hope that this person is relatively clean, if you will, and they can operate a business and not get themselves into too much trouble. There's not this idea that that you can be on parole for even longer, and then any misstep, the whole business goes down, because you are the business. one of those scenarios like on Shark Tank where the guy is clearly the business. Anthony clearly is Timepiece Gentleman. Knock on wood, Brian or O'Leary, right? He always says, what if you get run over? God forbid you get run over by a bus, the company's gone. Because you're the artist, you're the one creating the vision. You got run over by a bus, there's no vision left. Those are just random employees that don't really care about the vision. So, devastating news, and it is over. It's finally over. I can say that I'm almost positive there's no comeback. I'm positive that this is the death knell. And I hope Anthony gets help. I hope Anthony gets some really good people in his life that can bring him up. And yeah, I really do wish the best for him. But the watch dealing, the gray market dealing, like Anthony said in his video, it's okay if he leaves that. He'll do something else. I think he would be good at marketing. I think he would be great at, maybe potentially not coaching, but in terms of working at a marketing agency or starting his own marketing agency, I think people would pay for that service, right? And I really do wish him the best. But I think this will be the last time, at least of today, that we ever really talk about him again from a marketing or legal standpoint. Bye, guys.